Hi gang. So we are going to make some bricks today. This is a quickly slapped together brick mold, and the idea with this is that it will fit both sides of your block, so we can get pressing on one side and then the other pressing on the other side, right? And will be a nice record of your work. So this will be a collaborative project. So this is how they make bricks, hand press bricks. So we'll slap clay in there and compress out to the sides so that air moves out of the clay and the clay is compressed together and it stays together. So what we have set up at this brick station is a plastic lid, so we can spray water and just kind of keep the table surface dry, right? So with the brick mold, you want to make sure that it's clean first. So make sure to clean everything before using it. You can get things caked on with clay and sand, and it won't come out properly. And then spraying down with this water bottle will help adhere the sand to it. So making sure that you got the bottom side down, your top side up, right? So they have this bump here. If you press clay down on this side, it'll squeeze out on the side right here. So that's why this is the top side, this bottom side is blush. Okay, so you don't need to spray it down that much. I'm just kind of talking while I'm working. So my mold is nicely sprayed down with water, and I want to place my brick mold in my sand pit. Right, so working my brick mold back and forth. My sides are all nice and covered, and I can wipe off the extra bit of sand that I don't need on my top side and bottom side. So sand gets a little everywhere, right? It's kind of like going to the beach. So I got some great dispersion of sand on my mold. So in pressing your brick, you want to lay down some newspaper so that your clay can release, and we'll have these boards on each station that will fit a brick nicely, right? And then I'll talk about these guys later. So with the clay, ideally if you can take small chunks first and press down with your fist just to get this started. It's kind of a lot of clay in the beginning to fill in. I'm just kind of pressing things out to the sides, and you can continue doing this, right? Just working your way around, pressing in with your fist, compressing that clay so it sticks together. Or you could throw the clay in. From that pressure, the air will be pressed out, and you won't have any air bubbles on the inside, which works really well. Right, so I'm just going to leave that clay there. And I'm just going to keep going through, taking, sizable clay hunks and just kind of throwing my clay into my mold. Right? Is what we're actually after with this brick. These are pretty rough. They're handmade bricks. It's going to be an art piece. What we're after with this brick is the top side and bottom side here. So as long as we get a full compression that presses the clay out this way, that is what we're looking for. So it's kind of messy. Messy's fine. From here, I like to pad down the clay, and that will move the clay outward. And we'll get a nice surface to press the patterns into, and then I can easily rip off the clay that I don't need, right? So all this clay that's moving outward over my mold. Ta-da! Right, so my excess clay can be slapped back together, put back in the bin, and from here I want to trim off the top. So with my wire tool, running it along the top part of my brick mold here will create a nice flat surface. And then just doing a little bit of hand wedging, removing some of those air pockets and placing it back in there. Now, I could be really particular and scrape up this edge with the tool. Using your thumb, the back end of your thumb works just fine. Just running it along these edges here, just sort of cleaning things up a little bit. And from here, we will begin pressing our pattern in. Now, what I grabbed out of my stack of patterns is I'll use these two, right? So this is my Pompeii Mount Vesuvius eruption block, and then typical Greek pattern. I'll press one on one side, one on the other. And because I have things nicely compressed, I can pretty much press as hard as I want to and get a really nice pattern. So adding cornstarch so that I have a release, and with the dowel rod, I'll line up my block here along the side, making sure that it's nice and even on top, and I'll start on the back and with one fell swoop, quite a bit of pressure. I've got myself a lovely pattern, right? So one roll is really kind of all you need. If you keep on going back and forth with a lot of pressure, it'll just change the shape of your block, your brick, and you know, there's no need in doing that. So again, starting from one end, adding pressure and rolling over. Your block's going to move quite a bit because of the clay being really soft, and I've got a really nice pattern from both blocks. And from here I'm going to release the brick. So in releasing the brick, I have these 2 fire bricks. So you can just lightly take off your newspaper for a second. You'll place one end on top of the fire brick and then bring in the other large fire brick on the other side of your board here, and try to work this in so both are on. A little finagling. There we go. And then from here, just kind of pick up on your handle and let it drop. And just kind of let it fall through, right? So with that pressure, it's pressing out my brick, and then you can pick it up and drop it down lightly. So the brick's pretty hefty, right? Let's put these bricks off to the side, and from, you know, the pressure of sliding through, the edge kind of curls up a little bit, and if people are really worried about that, you know, you can just lightly pat your hands on there, and that'll take care of those sharp edges. So if they curl up this way, that's fine. Remember, we want the height. So with this brick, you know, this being the bottom, this being the top here, this is the measurement that we want, because then everything will be level when, you know, we stack the brick on top of each other. So from here, we'll take it over to the staging area. Follow moi. This way, making a stop at the light so we can see what's going on. Okay, so from here, let me just put you down there. We're going to get our block moved over onto one of these boards that are staged right here. So, in saving on space, and using these nice small boards to move the brick, I can slide this over and then easily lift up and remove my brick, right? So we have a lot of newspaper. Don't feel bad if you have to get rid of your newspaper, right? And so with moving that brick off, we can slide this as far as we need to make room for everything else. So with this being the top here, my bottom is flat, and I have this board right here that I like to just tap down so that this edge here can be flat, right? So if I have a group of these, I can line up 3 and tap them down so that they're all level. So relatively speaking, you know, when we stack these up, they'll all sit flat, or they'll at least be sturdy when we stack these together. Right? So as far as with the brick station, you know, clean up your sand, wipe down the table, and if you need to clean that mold with sponge and water and in the rinse bucket, right? So have fun. See you soon.